So these are my first impressions of the Model Y. I'm surprised they didn't build this first. It's a 2021 Model Y. Obviously, it's 2021. It just came out. The front legroom is absolutely ridiculous. The front headroom, wow. You know, right off the bat. First and foremost, the dead pedal for this car is just absolutely massive. I wear a size 15, 16 shoe, US, and my feet actually fits on the entire dead pedal. For those of you that don't know, the dead pedal is just that little resting pad for your foot, your left foot, that doesn't really do anything. Yeah, the only thing that I can say is that the turning radius doesn't really seem to... It's not horrible, but it's not great either. There are plenty of other vehicles that I can't really think of right now, but there are plenty of vehicles that have such a tight turning radius they can almost, no matter what the wheelbase, this is not like, I'm not talking about like a Mini or something like that, something with a ridiculously short wheelbase. I'm just talking about in general. You can almost make a full 180 degree turn in one lane almost, like 1.5 or 1.25 lane. With this thing, it takes a full 2 lanes. And like I said, it's not bad. It's not horrible by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just something that I've noticed now, especially after driving the Model X and the Model Y back to back. They both suffer from that. I assume it wouldn't be any different on the Model 3 since this is literally the exact same architecture. I find that very interesting. This is a nice smooth ride, definitely quiet. I gotta say, Tesla has probably one of the quietest interiors despite the greenhouse in these things. It's absolutely amazing. And of course, fitment issues. Like I said, this thing is brand spanking new. And there are a couple of areas that are already amiss. You know, but that's... The fitment stuff is not stuff that normal people will ever give a crap about, honestly. It's just not, and really. And everything you get with this thing is just absolutely brilliant. While I was waiting for this thing to charge, I was playing video games. A video game which actually is built into the car. And you can use the steering wheel to steer the... it's a racing game. You can steer the car with the steering wheel in real life, in RL. But that was interesting. This is a cheaper option for those that want still an SUV or a CUV or whatever this technically is classed as. I can sit behind myself just fine. There is plenty of room, and the back seat actually it reclines a little bit, so that'll give you even more room. The door handles are a little weird. They take some getting used to, especially being spoiled with the Model X. So you basically just push buttons and everything comes to life on that one. So it definitely spoils you. So those manual door handles are a little funky, like I said, but you'll get used to them. I think manual door handles are the way to go anyway. When you step inside the front seat, you are greeted with a ton of space. And I think that's because Elon Musk himself is like 6'3" or around thereabouts. So why would he design a vehicle and have one made that he couldn't fit into? So it makes sense. Everything's electronic. There is no manual adjusting anything. Tilt and telescopic steering wheel has a very good range of motion. It's a little slow, so hopefully you don't have to adjust this a lot, because that would probably drive you insane. Seat cushion feels good. Power seats, of course. You can really dial in that perfect seating position to where you can just drive and drive and drive. Overall, it's a great space. Head and legroom are absolutely amazing for the front passengers. You can't go wrong. Moving to the second row, because this is a 3-row, the door opens up decently. When you sit inside, this is me sitting behind myself. It's not terrible. And as an added bonus, you do have a reclining seat back. It doesn't recline a ton, but it's better than nothing. The seat cushion feels just as good as the front seat. No issues there. And no matter what seating position I put the reclining part in, headroom's great. Back of the seats are like a hard plastic, so that was kind of a weird touch. The third row, however, is kind of weird. As you can see, there's not very much room, even with the second row all the way up. And in order to fully enjoy the third row, you'd have to move the passenger seat up, the front passenger seat, not all the way up, but enough to where a decent normal person would sit. Then you can actually fully realize the get out of the way motion of the middle row. Kind of does a half tumble forward. So slide and then tumble forward. That's probably good for like car seats, hopefully without the child in it. The third row, however, is unfortunately absolutely useless, really. It's just there just to say it has it, honestly. When I tried to get into the third row, I ended up kicking the camera pod and knocking over my camera. And that was not a fun time. So yeah, the third row, on paper, sounds like a good idea. It is not in reality. With the third row up, you've got decent space. I like how the headrest for this has a little pocket for it, so when it's flat, it's actually out of the way. To fold the back seats, just push these two buttons, boom. They flip down. You can flip the second row with these buttons here. The trunk does have a little cubby in the bottom, underneath this false floor. Pretty deep too, so it's actually really useful. And of course the infamous front. Can't forget about that. The front trunk. It's decent, it's not huge. Big enough to have the charging cord for level 1 and this adapter. So this way you can actually use any charger that has that J1772 connector. To conclude, if there were my money, this is exactly what I would get. Not too big, not too small. I think the design is absolutely brilliant. Aerodynamic, of course, which is why the door handles are like the way they are. Everything is for efficiency. It's a hatchback. Some people may or may not like that. I think where some people fall off with hatchbacks is that when you have stuff in the rear, it's not exactly protected. That's where that front trunk comes in. It may not be big, but it's enough to secure your items. I'm not gonna lie, I'm blown away at the sheer simplicity of this car. Everything works as it should. I cannot wait for what Tesla does next. Well, this concludes the final episode of Season 1 of Pinnacle EV Review. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. Although short, it was plentiful, right? I really hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Do me a huge favor, stay safe. If you like what you saw, please like and subscribe. If you didn't like what you saw, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. We're gonna do this all again next year in 2022. We're gonna hopefully go out with a bang in a good way. The more reviews are coming your way. Thank you for sticking with me this far. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.